The first time my mother called me her practice daughter, I was 12. She said it casually, like commenting on the weather, while helping my sister Serena prepare for her dance recital. I stood in the doorway, holding my straight A report card, watching them adjust rhinestones on a tutu that cost more than my entire wardrobe. My name is Eliza, and I'm the daughter my parents used to learn from their mistakes before having their real child. Mom, look! I placed my report card on her vanity this morning, 7 years later. She barely glanced up from her phone, where she was scrolling through Serena's Instagram. That's nice, honey, she murmured, double tapping the screen. Oh, look at your sister's followers. She's almost at 10,000 now. That college admissions officer was right. Her social media presence is outstanding. I bit my tongue and left the room, the letter from Riverside University burning a hole in my back pocket. The full ride scholarship felt like a ticking bomb, and I knew exactly how this would play out. Eliza! Right on cue, my mother's shrill voice echoed through our house. Get down here immediately! I found her in the kitchen, clutching my scholarship letter, the one I'd deliberately left visible on my desk. Her face was flushed, and Serena stood beside her, smirking. Explain this, she demanded, waving the paper. It's a scholarship, full ride. I earned it. But Serena is the one applying to Riverside, my mother said, her voice rising. She's the one who needs this. How dare you apply behind our backs? I laughed, the sound sharp and unfamiliar. Behind your backs? I've been telling you about my college applications for months. You just never listened. Don't take that tone with me. She stepped closer, her designer perfume suffocating. This is perfect. You can just transfer it to Serena. She's the one with the real potential. That's not how scholarships work, Mom. Everything works if you know the right people. Serena chimed in, examining her manicure. Daddy can make some calls. Dad doesn't have that kind of pull anymore, I said quietly. Not since he left his teaching position. The room went silent. We never talked about Dad's sudden career change 2 years ago. Listen to me carefully, Mom grabbed my arm. You were just the practice daughter. You were never meant for real success. Serena needs this opportunity more than you do. Something snapped inside me. Years of being overlooked, of shrinking myself to fit into their narrative, crystallized into pure rage. No. The word felt foreign on my tongue. Excuse me? I said no. The scholarship is mine. I earned it. Mom's grip tightened. You ungrateful little. Let go of me. I yanked my arm free. Touch me again, and I'll tell everyone exactly why Dad really left teaching. Her face went white. Serena stopped scrolling on her phone. You don't know anything, Mom whispered. Don't I? I turned and walked upstairs to my room, hands shaking as I pulled out my desk drawer's false bottom. Inside lay a sealed manila envelope, my insurance policy, my leverage, my truth. My phone buzzed. A text from Elise. Did you tell them? It started, I replied. Another buzz, this time from Jimmy at the scholarship board. Everything okay? Your mom just called the office. I stared at the envelope in my hands. Inside was the proof, the report I'd filed, the statements, the evidence that brought down my father's carefully constructed facade. The same evidence that had secretly earned me this scholarship through the university's advocacy program. Eliza! Mom was coming up the stairs. This discussion isn't over. I quickly snapped a photo of the envelope's contents and uploaded them to my secure cloud folder labeled Truth. You're right, Mom, I muttered as her footsteps grew closer. It's just beginning. The door burst open. Mom stood there, Serena hovering behind her like a shadow. You have until tomorrow to figure out how to transfer that scholarship, Mom said, her voice eerily calm. Or I'll make sure you never set foot on that campus. I met her gaze steadily. Funny thing about threats, Mom. They only work when you have nothing left to lose. She slammed the door, and I heard her consoling Serena in the hallway. Don't worry, sweetie. Your sister will do the right thing. She always does. I pulled out my phone and typed a message to Elise. Remember that nuclear option we talked about? It's time. 7 years of being the practice daughter had taught me one thing. Sometimes the only way to win is to burn everything down and walk away from the ashes. 2 years ago, I sat in my car outside Riverside High School at 11:47 p.m., my finger hovering over the send button. The email would go to the school board, the superintendent, and 3 local news stations. Anonymous, untraceable, and loaded with proof. Are you sure about this? Elise's voice crackled through my phone's speaker. Once you send it, I have to. My hand trembled. You didn't see what I saw. The memory was still fresh. Staying late after school to help organize the drama club props, hearing voices from my father's classroom. The girl's voice had been shaking. Please, Mr. Freeman, I'll do anything to pass. My parents will kill me if I fail. I'd peered through the crack in the door. Dad was standing too close, his hand on her shoulder, promising to work something out. The girl couldn't have been older than 15. I pressed send. Now, 2 years later, I sat across from Jimmy Collins in a quiet coffee shop off campus, watching him review my scholarship application. Your anonymous tip saved lives, Eliza, he said, sliding the papers back to me. That's why the Advocate for Justice grant exists, to protect whistleblowers like you. Does anyone else know it was me? Just the scholarship board. Your identity is sealed. He leaned forward. But your mother's call yesterday concerns me. She seemed desperate. I stirred my untouched coffee. She wants me to give the scholarship to my sister. That's not possible. The grant is non transferable, especially given its nature. He paused. There's something else. Someone tried to access your scholarship portal this morning. Multiple failed login attempts. My phone buzzed. A text from Serena. Where did you hide your old English essays? The ones from junior year? Speaking of sisters, I muttered, showing Jimmy the text. Be careful, Eliza. Family can be. The cafe door chimed. I froze as Mason, Serena's boyfriend, walked in. He spotted me and headed over, looking uncomfortable. Hey, Eliza, can we talk? Jimmy gathered his papers. I'll be in touch, he said, leaving us alone. Mason slid into the empty seat. Serena's been acting weird. She asked me to hack into your old laptop. Did you? No, but he pulled out his phone. I found something else. On Reddit. He showed me a thread titled Corrupt Teachers Exposed. There was my father's name, buried in the comments. I started connecting dots, Mason said. The timing of his resignation, the quiet settlement, the way your family never talks about it. He met my eyes. It was you, wasn't it? You reported him. Mason. I won't tell her. He cut in. Actually, I'm here to warn you. Serena's planning something. She was up all night, going through your old files, talking about making things right for your mom. My phone buzzed again. An email notification from Riverside University. Unusual account activity detected. I have to go. I stood abruptly. Mason, thank you. Eliza, wait. He grabbed my wrist. There's more. I heard them talking about some kind of ethics violation. They're trying to prove you cheated on your SATs. I yanked my arm free. Let them try. Racing home, I found my bedroom door ajar. Inside, Serena was at my desk, rummaging through my drawers. Looking for something. She jumped. God, you scared me. Her laugh was too high, too forced. Mom asked me to borrow your calculator. The calculator in the drawer with my college essays. Her smile faltered. Don't be dramatic. Like fabricating an ethics violation dramatic? The color drained from her face. How did you get out of my room, Serena? You don't deserve that scholarship, she hissed, mask dropping completely. Mom's right. You're just the practice run, the rough draft. I'm the final version. Funny thing about rough drafts, I stepped aside as she stormed past. They contain all the original content. Everything else is just plagiarism. She froze in the doorway. What are you implying? I think you know exactly what I'm implying. Now get out. Once alone, I pulled out my phone and dialed Elise. They're making their move, I said when she answered. Time to open that file we made. The nuclear option? No, not yet. First, we show them what practice daughters are capable of. I opened my laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. Remember that backup we made of all my old essays? The ones with the digital timestamps and cloud verification? Yeah, let's see how many of Serena's college applications suddenly have authenticity issues. Eliza. Elisa's voice softened. Are you sure you want to do this to your sister? I thought of all the times I'd dimmed my light to let Serena shine, of my father's victims, of the word practice being used like a weapon. She's not my sister anymore, I said. She's just another person who needs to learn about consequences. Play it again, Elise said, leaning closer to my laptop screen. We sat cross legged on her bedroom floor, surrounded by printouts and hard drives. I clicked play on the voice recording from last week's dinner. Of course, we used Eliza's college fund for Serena's tutoring. Mom's voice rang clear. It's not like she was going anywhere special. Elise whistled. Your mom really said that, not knowing you were recording? She's gotten careless. They all have. I added the file to our growing digital folder labeled insurance. My phone buzzed. Jimmy's name flashed on the screen. Eliza, we need to talk. Your mother just left my office. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Jimmy in an empty classroom, watching him pace. She's filing a formal complaint, he said, running a hand through his hair. Claims you cheated on your entrance exams. Says she has proof. What proof? Text messages, apparently, between you and some tutor who helped you cheat. He stopped pacing. This is serious, Eliza. The board has to investigate. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, checked the date she claims I hired this tutor. Jimmy looked at the screen. March 15th last year? Now look at my account balance that entire month. I handed him my phone. Negative $12.33 every day because someone emptied my account in February. Understanding dawned on his face. Your mother? For Serena's private dance instructor, I have the transfer receipts. A knock at the door made us both jump. Through the glass, I saw Serena and Mom talking to a woman in a blazer, the university ethics officer. Don't open it, I whispered, but Jimmy was already moving. Mrs. Freeman, we're in a private meeting. Mom pushed past him. This concerns all of us. The ethics officer followed, looking stern. We have evidence of academic dishonesty, she began. I cut her off. No, you have fabricated text messages and a desperate attempt to steal my scholarship. How dare you? Mom stepped forward. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done? I laughed. Like stealing my college fund? Should we show them those bank statements, Mom? Serena went pale. Mom, you said that money was from Dad's settlement. Don't act innocent. I turned to her. Where did you think your new laptop came from? My summer job savings that mysteriously vanished? The ethics officer cleared her throat. Mrs. Freeman, are you saying you misappropriated your daughter's funds? This isn't about money, Mom's voice rose. This is about Eliza's cheating. Show them the text, Serena. Serena pulled out her phone, hands shaking. I noticed Mason hovering in the hallway, watching. Actually, I said, let's talk about texts. Jimmy, could you pull up the metadata on those messages? Jimmy was already typing on his laptop. Interesting. These screenshots show a conversation from March, but the messages were created last week using a fake text generator app. The ethics officer's expression hardened. Is this true? Of course not. Mom grabbed Serena's arm. Tell them! But Serena was staring at her phone in horror. Mason had just sent her something. I caught a glimpse of Reddit screenshots before she quickly locked her screen. Miss Thompson, I addressed the ethics officer, I have something you should see. I pulled out a USB drive. Every bank statement, every transferred dollar, every recorded conversation about how I was just the practice daughter they never intended to send to college. This is ridiculous, Mom sputtered. You recorded us? That's illegal. Single party consent state, Mom. I checked. The ethics officer took the drive. Mrs. Freeman, I suggest you leave campus immediately. These allegations of financial misconduct and attempted fraud are very serious. You ungrateful little. Mom lunged forward, but Mason suddenly appeared, stepping between us. It's over, Mrs. Freeman, he said quietly. I sent Serena the Reddit threads about Mr. Freeman, about everything. Serena's phone clattered to the floor. Dad did what? The room fell silent. Mom's face went from red to white. Get out! Jimmy's voice was steel. Before I call security. They left, Mom practically dragging Serena, who kept looking back at me with something new in her eyes. Fear? Recognition? The ethics officer stayed behind. We'll need formal statements. And Eliza, your scholarship is secure. More than secure, actually. The board will want to hear about this attempted fraud. After she left, I slumped against the wall, exhausted. You okay? Mason asked, still hovering. Why did you help me? He shrugged. Because I've watched them dim your light for years, and because he hesitated, because Serena tried to make me help create those fake texts, said it was just a joke, but it wasn't funny. My phone buzzed. Elise, check your email now. I opened it to find a forwarded message from Riverside's admissions office. Subject line Academic Integrity Investigation, Serena Freeman's application. What did you do? Mason asked, reading over my shoulder. I thought of my old essays, safely archived with their original timestamps. Nothing yet, but Serena's about to learn that practice makes perfect. Word for word, I said, sliding my laptop across the admissions office desk. She copied my junior year essay on resilience, just changed the names and added more adjectives. The admissions officer scrolled through both documents, comparing timestamps. And you can prove this was your original work? Google Docs keeps version histories, plus, my English teacher still has the original submission. My phone buzzed continuously as texts poured in from Serena. I ignored them all. This is serious plagiarism, the officer said. Multiple schools will need to be notified. I nodded, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. I know. Outside the office, Mason was waiting. Your sister's losing it. She knows something's wrong with her applications, but she doesn't know what yet. How bad? Bad enough that she threw her phone at your mom when they got home. He fell into step beside me. Listen, there's something else. I found your dad. I stopped walking. What? He's working at a bookstore across town. I saw him yesterday. Mason pulled out his phone, showing me a social media post. He's been writing about what happened, not directly, but through these anonymous posts about educational reform and accountability. Before I could respond, a familiar voice echoed down the hallway. Eliza! Mom stormed toward us, her heels clicking against the linoleum. Two security guards trailed behind her. Ma'am, you're not authorized to be here, one called out. That's my daughter! She grabbed my arm. You're coming home right now. We'll fix this mess you've made. Let go, I warned. Not until you tell those admissions people you made a mistake, that Serena's essay was original. Mason stepped forward. Mrs. Freeman, stay out of this. She yanked harder. You ungrateful little snake, after everything we've done. Everything you've done? I wrenched free. Like locking me in my room last night? The security guards moved closer. Mom's eyes darted between them. She's lying, she said quickly. Eliza, tell them you're lying. I pulled up my sleeve, revealing finger shaped bruises. Still have the video, too. Ring cameras catch everything these days, Mom. Even you jamming my door shut with a chair. Her face contorted. You're ruining everything. Serena's future is exactly what she earned, I finished. Now leave before I show security the footage. After she was escorted out, Mason whistled low. She really locked you in? Tried to. I climbed out the window. I checked my phone. 27 missed calls from Serena. One text from an unknown number. I know you reported me. Can we talk? Dad? Mason read over my shoulder. Are you going to meet him? I don't know. My phone buzzed again. Elise had sent a link to a Reddit thread going viral. Teacher's daughter exposes years of academic fraud and family abuse. It's spreading, Mason said. Serena's trying to damage control on social media, but people are connecting dots about your dad's scandal. We reached my car just as Serena's convertible screeched into the parking lot. She jumped out, mascara streaked down her face. What did you do? She screamed. Harvard just rescinded my acceptance. Funny how consequences work, I said, unlocking my door. You think you're so perfect? I'll tell everyone what you did to Dad. Go ahead. I turned to face her. Tell them how I stopped a predator from grooming students. Tell them how you and Mom covered it up to protect your precious reputation. She faltered. That's not. He said it was a misunderstanding. 3 girls came forward after my report, Serena. 3. Still think it was a misunderstanding. Her face crumpled. Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing anything to you. Your actions, your choices, your plagiarism, those are all yours. Please, she whispered. I can't lose everything. Like I lost my college fund, my childhood, my sense of safety in my own home. I got into my car. You're not losing everything, Serena. You're just finally getting exactly what you deserve. As I drove away, my phone rang. Dad's number. Hello? I saw the Reddit posts, he said, about what's happening with your sister and mother. And? And you were right. 2 years ago, you were right to report me. I've been in therapy, working on myself. He paused. I'll testify about the financial fraud, about how they treated you, whatever you need. Why now? Because practice daughters shouldn't have to set themselves on fire to keep others warm. I pulled over, hands shaking on the wheel. I have to go. Eliza, wait. I'm proud of you for being stronger than I ever was. I hung up, watching the sun set through my windshield. My phone lit up with a text from Jimmy. Board meeting tomorrow. They want to hear everything. Everything? I typed back. Everything. Time to burn it all down. I started the car again, heading toward Elise's house. Tomorrow I would tell the truth, all of it, and this time everyone would listen. The boardroom fell silent as I finished presenting the evidence. 12 pairs of eyes stared at the projection screen, where my mother's bank transfers glowed like neon accusations. These records, the board chairman cleared his throat, show systematic theft of your college funds over how many years? 6, I said, starting the day I won my first academic competition. Jimmy, sitting beside me, pulled up the next slide. And this is the falsified ethics complaint Mrs. Freeman filed last week. The room erupted in murmurs as they read the documented proof of the fake text messages. I noticed several board members taking photos with their phones. My own phone buzzed. Elise, turn on local news, now! Can we pause for a moment? I asked, pulling up the live stream. The news anchor's voice filled the room. Breaking news in the developing story of academic fraud at Riverside High School. Former teacher Josiah Freeman has come forward with shocking allegations of systematic abuse and corruption. The camera cut to my father, standing outside his bookstore. I was part of a culture of silence that protected the wrong people. My daughter was brave enough to speak up when I wouldn't. Today, I'm following her example. Turn it off, I whispered to Jimmy. My hands were shaking. The chairman leaned forward. Miss Freeman, given these developments, the boardroom door burst open. Serena stood there, mascara running, clutching her phone. You got Dad to go public? Her voice cracked. Do you know what you've done? Security moved toward her, but I held up my hand. It's okay. Let her speak. Mom's being investigated by the PTA board, Serena continued. They're saying she embezzled fundraiser money too. Is that your doing? No, I said quietly. That's just karma catching up. They're calling me a cheater online. My friends won't talk to me. Mason blocked my number. The chairman interrupted. Young lady, this is a private meeting. You want to know the truth? Serena's voice rose hysterically. Fine, I copied her essays. Mom took her money. We knew about Dad's inappropriate behavior. We covered it all up because that's what families do. The room went deadly quiet. No, I stood up. That's what abusers do. My phone buzzed again. A text from Dad. Reporter wants your side of the story. Your choice. Ms. Freeman, the chairman said, given these extraordinary circumstances, the board would like to double your scholarship amount. Serena made a choking sound. Additionally, he continued, we'd like you to speak at this year's orientation as a voice for survivor advocacy. Security finally stepped forward, gently escorting Serena out. Through the glass walls, I watched her collapse into tears in the hallway. Eliza. Jimmy touched my arm. The reporter's waiting downstairs. I gathered my documents, hands steady now. Tell her I'll talk, but not as a victim. Oh? As someone who refused to be silenced. Downstairs, the reporter was setting up her camera when my mother's Mercedes screeched into the parking lot. Eliza! She ran toward us, designer heels clicking. Stop this madness right now. The PTA is auditing my accounts. Your father is destroying our reputation. Serena's life is ruined. The reporter's camera was rolling. You did this to yourselves, I said clearly, knowing every word would be broadcast. I just stopped playing along. Playing along? Mom laughed desperately. We gave you everything. You gave me trauma, gaslighting, financial abuse. I stepped closer. Want to tell the camera about locking me in my room, or should we talk about Dad's victims? Don't you dare. Or maybe, I continued, we should discuss how you groomed Serena to be your perfect mini me while treating me like a practice run. The reporter moved closer, microphone extended. Mrs. Freeman, how do you respond to these allegations? Mom's carefully maintained facade cracked. You ungrateful little. She lunged for me. Security caught her arms as the camera rolled. Her screams echoed across the parking lot. You were nothing, nothing but a practice run. Get that on record, I told the reporter calmly. Every word. Later, watching the footage from Elise's couch, I felt strangely hollow. You did it, Elise said softly. You brought down their whole house of cards. My phone lit up with messages. Dad, I'm sorry I wasn't stronger sooner. Mason, Serena's moving to live with our aunt. She needs space to think. Jimmy, board wants to start a scholarship in your name for survivors. And one final text from an unknown number. Saw your story on the news. I was one of your dad's students. Thank you for speaking up. I'm not afraid anymore. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of victory and loss simultaneously. Their house of cards was always going to fall, I told Elise. I just decided to be the wind instead of the debris. The local news played silently on the cafe TV as I met Dad for the first time since everything exploded. His face looked older, more lined, but his eyes were clearer than I remembered. Your mother's been removed from all PTA positions, he said, stirring his untouched coffee. The audit found irregularities going back years. Shocking, I muttered. Serena called me yesterday. She's staying with her aunt in Colorado. He paused. She asked a lot of questions about what really happened at the school. And did you tell her the truth? All of it. About the girls who came forward. About how you tried to tell us something was wrong and we silenced you. His hands trembled. About how I was a coward. The TV above us switched to footage of Mom being escorted from the PTA meeting, mascara running, screaming about conspiracy and ungrateful children. They want me to do an interview, I said. Tell the whole story. Will you? Haven't decided. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Serena. Did you know she plagiarized my essays? Dad nodded slowly. Your mother encouraged it, said it was efficient, using the practice version to perfect the final draft. The bitterness of that word, practice, still tasted sharp. Mr. Freeman? A young woman approached our table, maybe 16. I I was in your class 2 years ago. Dad went pale. Sarah, I just wanted to say thank you. She cut him off, looking at me. For reporting him, for making it stop. She turned back to Dad. And thank you for finally telling the truth. After she left, Dad buried his face in his hands. There were so many signs, so many times I could have stopped. But you didn't? No, I didn't. He looked up. The interview they want you to do, you should do it. People need to hear your story. My phone buzzed. A text from Jimmy. Board meeting in an hour. Big announcement. I have to go. I stood up. Dad? Yes? Next time you see Serena, tell her I read her message, the one about wanting to make things right. Will you forgive her? I thought about my sister, the golden child, now tarnished and hiding in Colorado. Maybe, but not today. The university boardroom was packed when I arrived. Jimmy met me at the door. They're doubling down, he whispered. After your story broke, dozens of students came forward with similar experiences. The board is creating a whole advocacy program. The chairman stood as I entered. Ah, Eliza, perfect timing. We'd like you to head our new survivor advocacy initiative. Full funding, plus speaking engagements. Speaking of which, Jimmy added, you're trending on Twitter. Detective Practice Daughter is going viral. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local mother charged with financial fraud. Daughter's whistleblower story sparks national debate. Turn on the TV, someone called out. The boardroom screen flickered to life, showing Mom's face. She was doing an interview from our house. My daughter is destroying this family with lies, she was saying. Eliza was always difficult, jealous of her sister's success. The chairman muted it. We've heard enough of that narrative. Actually, I said, leave it on. Everyone should see what manipulation looks like. On screen, Mom was crying, perfectly choreographed tears. We gave her everything, and now she's turned her sister against us, ruined her father's reputation. Your father ruined his own reputation, I told the screen. I just exposed it. My phone buzzed again. Serena, Mom's losing it. She's packing up my room, saying she's going to sell everything to teach us a lesson. I'm scared, Eliza. Another text followed. I know I don't deserve your help, but I don't know who else to call. Everything okay? Jimmy asked, noticing my expression. No, I replied, typing back to Serena. Call Dad. Get him to file for the emergency custody of your trust fund before she drains that too. Ms. Freeman? The chairman was waiting. About the advocacy position? I looked up at the screen where Mom was still spinning her web of lies. At my phone, where Serena's fear glowed in pixelated form. At the boardroom full of people waiting for my answer. Yes, I said finally. But I want to tell the whole story. Not just about Dad's abuse or Mom's fraud, about how families normalize toxicity, about golden children and practice daughters, about how silence only protects the wrong people. The chairman nodded. When would you like to start? My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Mason. Your mom's interview is backfiring. People are sharing their own practice child stories. You started something bigger than you know. I looked around the room, feeling the weight of truth settling into place. I already have. The scholarship gala buzzed with energy as I adjusted my microphone. Hundreds of faces looked up at me from the audience, including several news cameras. Jimmy gave me a thumbs up from the side of the stage. My name is Eliza, I began, and I was my family's practice daughter. A hush fell over the crowd. In the back, I spotted Mason slipping in, followed by Dad. They both nodded encouragingly. 2 months ago, I stood in my kitchen while my mother demanded I give up my scholarship to my younger sister. She called me ungrateful, said I was nothing but a trial run for their real child. Movement at the entrance caught my eye. Mom pushed through the doors, mascara, perfect, designer handbag clutched like a shield. Security, Jimmy whispered into his earpiece, but I shook my head. Let her stay, I said into the mic. She should hear this. Mom stalked down the aisle, high heels clicking. Enough of these lies! Cameras swiveled toward her as she approached the stage. The audience murmured. Mrs. Freeman, the university dean stood up. This is a private event. Private? She laughed shrilly. My daughter has dragged our family through the mud publicly for weeks. Now it's my turn. I held up my hand as security moved forward again. Actually, Mom, perfect timing. I was just about to show everyone something. The projector screen behind me lit up with bank statements. Mom's face went white. See these transfers? I pointed. Every dollar I earned from age 14, birthdays, Christmas money, summer jobs, all emptied into an account for my sister's dance lessons, private tutors, designer clothes. We gave you everything, Mom screamed. Really? I clicked to the next slide. Here's my college fund 3 years ago, and here it is 2 months later, drained to zero. Want to tell everyone where that money went? Your sister needed, my sister needed to earn her own way. I cut her off. Instead, you taught her to steal, to plagiarize, to take what wasn't hers. The audience was dead silent now, cameras rolling. And Dad, I continued as he shifted uncomfortably in his seat, you taught her that silence protects the family, that looking the other way is loyalty. Until those girls came forward and I couldn't stay silent anymore. You ungrateful little! Mom lunged for the stage. Two security guards caught her arms. She thrashed against them, mask finally shattering completely. I made you, she shrieked. Everything you are is because of me. No, I said calmly. Everything I am is because I survived you. The guards began dragging her toward the exit. She fought them, hair coming loose, designer dress twisting. You were nothing but practice. Her voice echoed through the hall. Nothing. Maybe, I agreed. But practice makes perfect. I turned back to the audience, hands steady on the podium. That's why we're here tonight, to announce the practice makes perfect foundation for every child who's been told they're just the rough draft, for every student who's faced abuse and stayed silent, for every survivor who needs to know they're not alone. The crowd erupted in applause. Through my tears, I saw Dad standing, clapping, Mason wiping his eyes. Jimmy beaming proudly. My phone buzzed. A text from Serena. Watching the live stream. I'm so sorry, Eliza. For everything. Another buzz. An email from the university. Additional funding approved for survivor advocacy program. The dean approached the podium, holding an oversized check. Eliza, on behalf of the board, we'd like to present the first donation to your foundation. As cameras flashed, I heard Mom's final scream from the hallway. This isn't over! But it was. The truth was out, recorded and witnessed by hundreds. There was no going back. Later at the reception, Dad found me by the refreshments. Your mother's being evaluated for a psychiatric hold, he said quietly. The way she broke down, they're worried. I nodded, unsurprised. And Serena? Safe in Colorado, getting therapy. She wants to make amends. It'll take time. Everything worth doing does. He hesitated. I'm proud of you, Eliza, not just for surviving us, but for turning survival into something bigger. My phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. Watching your speech online. I'm a practice daughter too. Thank you for giving us a voice. I looked around the room at all the people discussing the foundation, sharing stories, finally breaking their silence. You know what, Dad? I said, reading message after message from others like me. Maybe being the practice daughter wasn't a curse. Maybe it was preparation. For what? I watched another donation check being presented to the foundation for making sure no one else has to practice surviving alone. The autumn wind scattered leaves across campus as I walked to my first advocacy meeting. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since the gala, messages from other practice children, interview requests, foundation paperwork. Ready? Elise fell into step beside me, carrying two coffees. Define ready. I took one cup, warming my hands. Mom's still in psychiatric hold. Serena's therapist wants us to do a joint session. Dad's publisher wants him to write a book about educational reform. And you? Before I could answer, Mason jogged up. Eliza, have you seen the news? He held up his phone, showing me a viral video. My gala speech had hit 10 million views. The comments section overflowed with similar stories. I was the practice child, too. Finally, someone said it. This stopped me from giving up. That's not the biggest news. Mason swiped to another headline. Your mom's former PTA friends. They're being investigated for similar financial fraud. You started a domino effect. My phone buzzed. Jimmy. Boardroom. Now. Bring Elise. We found Jimmy pacing, surrounded by papers. The foundation's exploding. Major donors want in. Schools across the country are requesting advocacy programs. It's too much, I said, sinking into a chair. I can't. Yes, you can. Elise squeezed my shoulder. You're not alone anymore. Another buzz. Serena. Saw your interview requests. Tell them the truth about me, too. I need to own what I did. I showed Elise the message. Are you going to forgive her? She asked. I'm working on it. I typed back. Okay, but on one condition, you help other golden children understand what they're really losing. The reply was instant. Deal. A knock at the door made us all turn. Dad stood there, holding a manila envelope. What's that? I asked. Everything, he said. Every report I ignored, every student who tried to speak up, every time I chose silence. He placed the envelope on the table. Use it. Show people how abuse thrives in silence. Dad, and this. He pulled out a check. It's not much, but it's everything I made from my teaching career. The foundation deserves it more than I do. My phone buzzed again. A local number. My name is Rachel. I'm 15. My teacher is making me uncomfortable. After seeing your speech, I told my parents. They believed me. Thank you. I showed Dad the message. This is your legacy now, he said softly, not being the practice daughter, but being the one who changed the pattern. Mason cleared his throat. Speaking of patterns, he pulled up another video on his phone. Mom's face filled the screen. She looked smaller, stripped of makeup and designer clothes, sitting in what looked like a hospital room. I was wrong, she said, voice shaking. About everything. Watching that video of myself at the gala, I didn't recognize that person. That's not who I want to be anymore. I closed the video. Actions matter more than words. True, Jimmy said. But change has to start somewhere. My laptop pinged with an email notification. The subject line read Riverside University Freshman Orientation, Keynote Speaker Request. They want me to talk to incoming students, I said, scanning the email, about recognizing abuse, about speaking up. Are you going to do it? Mason asked. I looked around the room at Elise, who never let me face anything alone, at Mason, who chose truth over loyalty, at Dad, finally breaking his silence, at Jimmy, who believed in me when I was just a name on a scholarship application. Yes, I said, but not about being a victim, about being a voice. My phone lit up one last time. An email from an unfamiliar address, subject line, You saved my life. Dear Eliza, I was going to stay silent, except being the practice child. Let my sister take everything, including my future. Then I saw your speech. Today, I told my parents no, showed them the proof of what they've done. They're angry, but I'm not afraid anymore. You taught me that being the practice daughter doesn't mean we have to be perfect. It means we get to write our own story. Thank you for writing yours. Sarah. I looked up at my friends, my allies, my new family of choice. Ready for the next chapter? Elise asked. Through the window, I watched students crossing campus, some probably carrying their own silent burdens, their own unspoken truths. You know what? I stood up, gathering the foundation papers. I think I've had enough practice. Time to show them what we can really do. Dad smiled. Lead the way. We walked out together, leaving behind the weight of being practice children, stepping into the light of being exactly who we were meant to be. Not perfect, not practice, just powerfully, unapologetically real. And somewhere in that autumn wind, I finally felt free.